Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure to be here, and I'm grateful to this institute for inviting me to participate in this. This morning, we listened to a lot of ideas, and mainly about the current situation in the region. So in my paper, I'm not going to all these details, because in this hall, we have most of the people, they are specialists, they are military people who are well informed about the developments of the thing in the region. Especially that this morning, the Pandora books of Sykes-Picot was opened, so I don't want to involve to that, otherwise you will not be out of it. Some years ago, in 2011, I wrote a paper, and I used strategic triangle using game theory. You know, we political scientists, we like the theoretical things. So I put three main players in this strategic triangle: United States of America, GCC under the leadership of Saudi Arabia, and Iran. Till today, I think, with all these changes, I think that this triangle still interacting among each others regarding the development of the politics in our region. So therefore, I'll try my best to raise some ideas and questions and not go in details of development of the things. When we look at the region, we may say several things that I have to mention it in order to put my thought in perspective. We talk about these actors in the region. In this paper, I use three things. States. States, of course, they are regional states, like GCC, Iran, Iraq, and also great power states like United States, Britain, France in the region. The second aspect, non-state actors, I looked at them, the role of the non-state actors. The third element, which few people shed light on it, social movement in the Arab world. The social movement in the Arab world, and this is a sort of idea which I'm presenting here, that I think that in the long run, the sectarian politics in the region will diminish gradually, may not be in this year or next year, because I have a sort of social imagination that, or socio-political imagination that social movements in the Arab world will rise to stand in the front of these sectarian forces, because the nationalistic feelings in the Arab world is very, very strong. I don't know whether the Iranian policymakers, they know this thing about Iraq especially or no. But I believe that social movement will be the next actor in our region. Most of these Islamists will, I don't want to say that they will go out of the way, but the social movement as happened in Egypt, for example. For example, when the movement which is called in Egypt Kifaya, in Arabic means enough, I think Mr. Mubarak did not give attention to that movement, but it started growing and growing until we reached to a total revolution. So I think that social movements, and I don't want to go to in the definitions what is social is, because many of you may know, but social movements will play a role in the Arab world, maybe gradually. If you look at the landscape, strategic landscape, after withdrawal of United States from Iraq in 2011, the United States did not have a comprehensive strategy for dealing with the aftermath. This opened the way for former Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki to build a sectarian state, especially with regards to the army, the security apparatus, and the oppression of his adversaries and other groups. Second, there has been an increase in Iranian influence after the American withdrawal from Iraq, especially in the Iraqi security apparatus. These two factors, namely the vacuum created by the withdrawal of the US and the sectarian policies of the former Iraqi government, have led to the emergence of Daesh or IS. There is a lack of a trust. Number three, this is the third point. There is a lack of trust between the Arabian Gulf countries and their neighbors, especially after Iran began to deploy military force directly in Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq via its militias. The threads of cooperation between Iran and the GCC countries began to unravel, and trust has reached an all-time low. Now the question is how this alliance, the new alliance which the United States is talking about, can be created among countries which they never entered even in a confidence building process. There is no confidence building process between all these countries, whether the countries of the region or the countries who are very important for us. We believe that United States is important for us. We still believe that United States played a good security role in our region. The situation raises an important question. How does the strategic landscape across the Middle East, starting from Syria, extending through Iraq, and ending in the Islamic State, currently look? To answer this question, one can make 5 general points. 1, religion will remain the main factor in current transformations. It will be used by various movements, leading to the erosion of the concept of a civil state. And this is one of the reasons that the social movement will come, because they don't agree that religion will be the basic thing for building a state in our region. 2, the concept of a state has been receding, which works to the advantage of non-state actors. 3, there is a state of uncertainty regarding current regional transformations and what might come as a result of the expanding role of various countries in the region. 4, strategic transformations in great power policies such as United States of America and international organizations such as NATO will have far-reaching repercussions for the current regional security equation. The GCC countries face unprecedented threats in the wake of the current climate of regional and international polarization. These issues raise a pivotal question regarding the future. What will be the strategic behavior of the great powers, regional countries, and non-state actors? First, the new alliance that the United States is attempting to forge to fight the Islamic State, Daesh, with the approval of NATO members, apparently involves the USA leaning towards cooperating with Iraqi forces and Iranian militias in Iraq, with the latter two operating on the ground in the battlefield. This is the result of the majority of NATO members refusing to deploy ground forces. Second, all the region's countries and the great powers agree that Islamic states represents a national security threat. In fact, these countries have declared their intent to enter the alliance that includes the USA as well as some regional countries. However, a vision is yet to emerge around how to manage the alliance in its fight against Daesh. This question is, what are the USA and Western countries' plans for the alliance? Is it to exterminate Daesh and its state in Iraq, or to confine it to a small area in Iraq and Syria and limit its expansion to other areas? This aspect of the alliance is not very clear, at least to me. Third, will the Iraqi tribes cooperate with the alliance under the leadership of Washington? In other words, will the awakening Sahawat experiment repeat itself? And I don't want to involve in this, and you know what happened to Sahawat after they defeated almost Al-Qaeda. They were been abandoned by Washington and by Maliki government. How will these countries, among which there is no much distrust, agree upon fighting Daesh, while at the same time preserving militias that have previously acted violently and remain in Iraq? It is worth noting that this problem also affects the Syrian crisis because Daesh extends from Iraq to Syria. The alliance's fate depends on how it will deal with the Syrian issue, a matter that requires a decisive, comprehensive, and clear strategic American presence. However, how can Washington cooperate with Iran to combat Daesh while simultaneously supporting the principle of a Syrian revolution that aims to bring down Bashar al-Assad's regime? Especially that, we are talking about militias in Iraq. These militias are Shiite militias. The Sunni world, which is much bigger than the Shiite world and the Arab world, will look at it that might be a sort of another sectarian war in the region. In the end, one can say that if the international alliance succeeds in realizing some sort of victory over the Islamic State, it will unleash other polarizing forces due to the dependence on militias as partners in the alliance. The people of the region will no longer tolerate further displacement, destruction, and slaughter than they already have. I believe that it is social movements with nationalistic loyalties that will emerge to challenge and counter the region's sectarian propensities. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.